Today we are going to work on ESP, actually the vocabulary related to telecommunications and networks. Communication has always played a crucial role in human societies, and over time, its forms have evolved through the progression of technology, transforming itself into telecommunication. The telegraph, the telephone, the radio, the television, the fax, and more recently, the computer, are all devices which were invented to communicate using electromagnetic waves. Thanks to them, we can transmit texts, pictures, sounds, images, different kinds of media, and reach everyone in any part of the world. There are some pictures of different means of communication, and take a look at them. Of course, they are all very known to you. And there are some questions. How often do you use these means of communication? Probably every day. What do you use them for? Who do you use them with the most? Is it with your friends or with some relatives, cousins who live abroad, or maybe someone else? What are their advantages, or maybe more importantly, disadvantages? What are the risks connected to the use of these means of communication? Think about it. There's an interesting diagram, as you can see it here, and it is related to the first important thing that should be discussed and addressed if we talk about means of transmission. There are two types of means of transmission, the two most important ones, cables and radio waves. As you can see, there are different kinds of cables, including wires, coaxial cables, and optical fibers. On the other hand, there are also radio waves as very important means of transmission, and there are antennas and satellites. Your task now would be to take a look at the following text given here and try to complete it using some of the words that we've just mentioned related to means of transmission. So take a look. You can pause the video and then read the complete text. Okay, so let's check your answers. Telecommunication systems need means for what do you think? For the transmission of an information, which is translated into electromagnetic waves that connect the transmitter to the receiver. These means can be physical media, such as physical media. Physical media are cables. Or radio, this one is easy, radio waves, which are transmitted by air. Different kinds of cables can be used. The simplest communication cables consist of a single pair of wires, of course, twisted together. Other types of what kind of cables? Coaxial cables and optical fibers. Radio waves need antennas, of course, to be transmitted, and sometimes satellites are necessary for long-distance transmission. The most important vocabulary in this unit is given bold in the text that we are going to read and listen to, and in the PowerPoint presentation that you can download from the school website, you can find the meaning and explanation of these verbs if you do not discover it while you do the exercises. Okay, we can move on now. Now, let's talk about different kinds of transmission, actually the manners that the information can be transmitted. There are two basic kinds of transmission: ground transmission and air transmission. So let's read about it. Wires provide a cheap and effective means of communication that was predominant in the past. Wires, which are made out of copper and insulated with plastic, can be single or twisted, and they are used mainly in telephone and computer networks. Coaxial cables consist of an inner conductor insulated with plastic and surrounded by a woven copper shield. They are used in television and radio, as these cables can support about 60 channels. The inner copper cable is insulated to protect the wires from bending and crushing and to reduce the noises. Optical fibers are used in place of simple copper wires to carry larger amounts of information. They consist of strands of pure glass as thin as a human hair. Signals travel along fibers with less loss and without any electromagnetic interference. As they permit transmission over longer distances and at a higher speed, they are used in communication systems, in some medical instruments, and in a wide variety of sensing devices. Air transmission. Antennas were invented to capture radio signals and convert them into electrical signals through the receiver. They can also receive electric signals from the transmitter and convert them into radio signals. These electric devices, which provide information at a cheap rate, are essential to all equipment that uses radio. They are used in systems such as radio and television broadcasting, radar, mobile phones, and satellite communications, for which they are in form of dishes, as you can see in the pictures. Satellites are machines launched into space to move around Earth or another celestial body. A communication satellite is basically a station which receives signals in a given frequency and then retransmits them at a different frequency to avoid interference problems. The first satellite was launched by the Soviet Union in 1957. There are different types of satellites: low-orbit satellites, which travel at about 300 kilometers from the Earth and observe the planet, providing accurate information about agriculture, pollution, and weather forecasting; medium multitude satellites, which travel at about 9,000 to 18,000 kilometers from the Earth and are used in telecommunications. So, we'll deal with the main vocabulary later. And the point now is to complete the chart. So, means of transmission using wires, coaxial cables, optical fibers, antennas, and satellites. If you read the text once more, you should find information about the material, function, type of signal, which is ground or air, and advantages for each of these modes of transmission or means of transmission. So stop the video and read the text again so that you can complete the chart, and then we'll check the answers. So let's summarize the text. The main means of transmission are using cables and radio waves. Cables are used through wires, coaxial cables, or optical fibers, while radio waves are used in forms of antennas or satellites. As you can see here, I've provided short answers for the chart. That was your task. And we'll go through it quickly. So for wires, they are copper insulated with plastic. They are used mainly in telephone and computer networks. The type of signal is ground, and they are cheap and effective. Coaxial cables. The inner conductor here is insulated with plastic and surrounded by a copper shield. They are used in television and radio. They are also the type of signal that is used is ground signal, transmitted through the ground. And the advantages, they can support about 60 channels. The inner cable is insulated to protect the wires from bending and to reduce the noises. The optical fibers that are mostly in use nowadays are made of strands of pure glass. Their function is in some medical instruments and in a wide variety of sensing devices. They are used for these purposes. The type is again ground signal, and the advantage is they can transmit signals over longer distances and at higher speed. What about antennas? They are metal, as you know, and they capture radio signals and convert them into electrical signals through the receiver. They can also convert electrical signals into radio signals. The type of signal is air signal, and they provide information at a cheaper rate, which is the main advantage, very important one. Satellites, again metal, they receive signals in a given frequency and then transmit them at a different frequency to avoid interference problems. The type of signal is air, and they provide accurate information about agriculture, pollution, weather forecasting, and they are also used in telecommunications. So far, we've discussed modes of transmission and kinds of transmission, and we're going now to discuss and read about networking and networks. What does it refer to? Actually, a network is a group of computers that are linked together. So your task would be to read this text and later on do the questions provided here for homework. I'll read the text for you and then you'll answer the questions. A network is a group of computers linked together. It consists of at least two computers joined by cables on the same desk or same office, but it can also mean thousands of computers across the world. The users of a network can share hardware, scanner, printer, fax machine, etc., access data in other people's computers, and run other programs stored in the network, although not installed on their own computer. So, as you know, a network consists of nodes, different computers and devices, are connecting mediums, cables, wires, wireless connection, routers, special computers enabled to send messages, and switches, devices which help to select a specific path to follow. Networks can be connected in different ways according to the area they cover. A LAN, local area network, is generally located in a limited space, such as a building or campus. On the contrary, a WAN, wide area network, operates in a larger area and it can reach most of the world, so it could be described as a collection of LANs all over the world. The exchange of information in a network is controlled by communications protocols, which define the formats and rules that computers must follow when talking to one another. Well-known communication protocols are Ethernet, which is a family of protocols used in LANs, and the Internet Protocol Suite, which is used in any computer network. Computer networks offer many advantages. For example, they facilitate communication, allowing people to send emails, texts, make phone video calls, and video conference. Furthermore, networks allow people to share files, data, and other types of information, as users may access data and information stored on other computers in the network. On the other hand, networks may be difficult to set up and may be insecure, as computer hackers can send viruses or computer worms to the net computer. They may also interfere with other technologies, as power line communication strongly disturbs certain forms of radio communication and access technologies such as ADSL. So, basically, the most important thing about this part of the lesson is to answer these questions. I'm sure that you already know this from your subjects in the school that you study. And the last point that we are going to discuss related to this topic are network topologies. Topology refers to the layout of the interconnections of the nodes of a computer network. So how basically they are connected, the ways and the modes of their connection. It depends on the distance involved, the type of hardware used, and the stability needed. Now you're going to listen to the story, the text about different network topologies, and you should first try to complete the gaps on your own using the given words, or just listen to the complete text, and after it you're going to be assigned another homework. So listen very carefully.
In a bus network, all nodes are connected through a common medium called backbone, as it happens with Christmas lights. Information sent along the backbone travels until the destination is reached. This kind of topology is generally used only for small networks, as it isn't able to connect a large number of computers. The main advantage offered by this topology is that if a computer or device doesn't work, it doesn't affect the others. Star network. In a star network, all nodes are connected to a special central node called the hub. Once it has received a signal, the hub passes it to all the other nodes until it reaches the destination computer. This means that all the computers and devices are joined together. This topology is commonly used in businesses because it can grant rapidity and safety in exchanging data. Thanks to this topology, data is always up to date, and if a computer doesn't work, it doesn't affect the others. The only disadvantage to it is that if the hub goes down, the whole network doesn't work. Ring network. In a ring network, each node is connected to its left in a circle. There is no central hub that holds all the data, and communication is sent in one direction around the ring through the use of a token. As it requires fewer cables, this topology is less expensive. Nonetheless, because it provides only one pathway among the nodes, a single node failure may isolate all the devices attached to the ring. Star bus topology. Star bus topology is the most common network topology used today. It combines elements of star and bus topologies to create a more effective network. Computers in a specific area are connected to hubs creating a star. Then each hub is connected together along the network backbone. The main advantage of this type of topology is that it can be more easily expanded over time than a bus or a star. On the other hand, this topology is more difficult to configure than the others, and if the backbone line breaks, the whole network goes down.
So as you can see, I've provided again the chart that shows all the main information about these different kinds of network topologies: bus, star, ring, and star bus. And your homework will be related to this text that you've just listened to. So if you need, you play back it and listen to it one more time. And the homework is given here, exercise 7. Read the text, listen to the text again, and decide if the following statements are true or false. And if they are false, you should correct the false sentences. I hope that you have enjoyed the lesson and also learned something new. Here's the vocabulary for the end. Some of the main words that you should actually know and understand, and that you will probably use if you choose a job related to this field. You can check the explanation in the text that we've just read and listened to, or you can just read the translation given here. And the reference that I've used here and the book that's great for your occupation, future occupation, and for the vocation that you've chosen related to the electronics is Flash on English for Mechanics, Electronics, and Technical Assistance. You can find it in PDF form, and it has the key and the audio attached to it. Thank you. Stay healthy.